Hi everyone, welcome to BeamNG Drive, where here we have the Azrios. I'd just like to apologise for my voice. I've got a really bad cold or flu or something right now, and it's making my voice sound awful. But I can speak now, which is an improvement, so we'll go ahead and try out this Azrios. So it's not imported over fantastically into BeamNG. You can see we've got some issues just above the wheel arches where we've got some clipping there that wasn't apparent in the model, but always some things get a bit fuzzy. But otherwise the car's looking pretty cool, the paint job looks cool. We can turn on blinkers just as before. One sounds good. So let's go ahead and try how this thing drives. Just before we do, let's listen to the engine and make sure it's not going to brake on us. Oh, the engine sounds good, and it's not having the issue we had before. I think that issue before only comes with very small engines, where something in the calculations gets mistranslated. But let's see how we drive here. So, definitely accelerates decently. Feels very heavy compared to the Royal. Steering is something I need to get used to in this. You can definitely feel that you're driving something a lot more powerful than we were before. See how it handles on this sharp corner here. At low speeds it does turn quite well. Let's take it to the straight. Ideally without braking. Oops. Yeah, just as before, I've not got any better at driving in the last couple of weeks, so you'll just have to put up with me, but let's see what speed we can get to here. Easily topping 100 there, 111. Right, let's see if I can get this back under control by the time we need to take the corner. This is a new version of BeamNG, and so the dots are trying to point me towards the start line. I'm just ignoring them. That corner was a lot easier than it was with the Loyal. Just be very gentle on the controls on the cornering, otherwise it seems to be handling pretty decently, especially for a 1950s car. Slow right down here. The chicane. You need to watch it when maneuvering while at high speed, because it doesn't like it. Not surprising, but pretty good. All in all, I quite like the feel of this car. It's a lot heavier than the previous one. It does certainly seem like a bit more of a muscle car than a true light sports car. So I'm going to practice around with this for a little bit, and I will catch you again when we're ready to do the time trial. So here we are. I've practiced a little bit with the Azrios. It handles pretty well until you get to high speed. above about 70 miles per hour, that's where it really starts to lock up and just goes straight into a wall. So I have to watch myself on the high-speed turns, especially the sort of more gentle ones. I lose track of how fast I'm going. So I'll just try and invest, and let's see how we do. Okay, so I got through that first corner okay. It's these sort of gentler corners that I have issues with, like that. Managed to recover there, not terribly. Got around that sharper corner, missed it again, went off into the dust, but still keeping it together. Let's see how we do go into the straight. Okay, not doing too bad here. Hitting 111, which is where this really caps out. I do have to lose speed before the turn. And managing that about just under 80 miles per hour, actually, it's not bad at all. We'll need to slow down more ahead here. And ideally not go into the grass, but beggars can't be choosers. One thing that is nice about this car is the wheel grips are a lot higher than the brake strength, just because we have crappy brakes. And that means that I can just floor the brake entirely and I don't wheel spin at all. So even though we don't have ABS, I still don't need to worry about skidding, just because our brakes are so weak compared to our tyres. This is a corner I keep messing up on. So it's deceptively sharp for the speed you end up going around it. There we go, doing all right. It's the final manoeuvre here. We go up the hill, Cossack's corner. Final turn here. And we're on the last straight. So 32 seconds behind our goal. Still, we did absolutely beat the time of the previous one, the Loyal. We've beaten that by almost 50 seconds. So definitely happy with that. All in all, pretty fun car. Definitely a lot beefier than the Loyal. A lot more of a muscle car than the Loyal, even though it wasn't originally intended to be. Quite a lot of fun to drive around. And so now let's jump back over to automation and let's see if we can sell this thing. Catch you all there.
Hey everyone, so we're here back in automation. As you can hear, my voice still isn't great, but we will just proceed. And so this is right where we left off. We just put the Azrios into engineering. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually, before I start letting this run, let's go ahead and do something with the marketing. Because we've recently unlocked the lure, but we're not doing any marketing there. So let's just see what kind of untapped revenue is possible in just Delua. Make sure I get the right one. So They're not a big fan of light sports, but they can get some money out of light sports premiums, so that'll certainly be something that's worth looking into. Also, regular sports, convertible luxury, and the convertible sports market, which the Azrios is, can sell for quite a bit. So I think that's going to be worth it. We just need to push sportiness and prestige in Delua. And just to check their stats, they care a lot about size, which isn't going to mesh well with our current designs. Our designs are designed to be small, so we're going to be losing out there. They do care about prestige, though, care a bit about practicality. Absolutely don't care about fuel economy. Fair enough, this is the allegory of Saudi Arabia, so this is where the fuel is coming from, so they have dirt cheap fuel. But I think that gives us an idea of what we need to do. We need to put some points into sportiness, and we need to put some points into prestige. Otherwise, I don't think we're really going to push anything in particular there. I'm just going to check the other countries. Here we are paying quite a bit into sportiness. That's fine. We are slowly growing our market in Farenia. Might actually be worth stressing our prestige a tad more. That massively jumps the price actually, so let's just leave that. And Helvetia, we'll just leave that as it is. And so hopefully that will get us a few more awareness points so that we can start selling these cars a little bit better when they do finally hit the shelves. So now I'm going to go ahead and accelerate time until this releases, and obviously I'll check back with you if any events pop up. See you in a bit. So here we are. The Azrios has just finished its production run. It was a pretty uneventful 5-year production. You can see with this finance table, we were making a really decent profit throughout that, about 3 million a month, nicely ticking up. And that led us to reach a peak of about $550 million, so more than we started with by quite a bit. And that's good news because we then stunk a huge chunk of money into bringing the new factories online. It's fine, we knew we would, and we're actually in a really good financial situation here. We've still got nearly 500 million having upgraded 2 factories and brought in a brand new car. As for what the Azrios is looking like just now, its desirability ratio is still really quite good. Light sports, convertible sports, and sport categories are all doing very, very good. It is still quite expensive in most of these markets. It is actually the cheaper option for the sport category, but it is more expensive than the others. We kind of knew that going in, which brings me to something that we are going to be looking to do, as I did ask the Discord to see what they thought about a separate vehicle line. We thought we might bring in a budget line to support this. Still going for the sports market, but really trying to do more of the sort of light sport budget category, convertible budget, really looking to get cars for people who can't afford our main line. And that should work quite well with the new economy model, where if people can't afford the fanciest car that you have, the one they really want, they do then get driven to look at other cars from your brand so that you can attract them with your brand new flash top-of-the-line sports car, even though they can't afford it, but then they'll go and get your run-of-the-mill all-right brand and kind of pretend it's the same thing, which I think is a really good modeling. It's pretty much what real cars do a lot of the time. You see things like Audi and Porsche doing similar ideas. They've got their super top fancy cars, then they've got their run-of-the-mill cars for people who want that label but can't afford the top end. So yeah, as always, big props to the developers. And unfortunately, this does mean we have to say goodbye to the Loyal. The Loyal has done really, really well in its time. It's one of the best cars throughout this period. Had a good run from 1946 to 1951, so it's had a good 15-year lifetime there. And it's done, hang on, not 1946 to 1951, 1946 to 1960. Sorry, I don't know quite what's going on with the numbers. So it has had a 15-year life cycle, and it sold very, very well in that time. Now, as always, what we need to do is look to the future. So we can see what's coming out soon and try and make our plans. So research and development wise, we've just unlocked the light truck monocoque. We're really not into trucks. Torsion beams coming on in 62. We've just got automatic gears. Again, probably really not our thing. We have got all aluminium architecture. Certainly be looking to that in the future. And we've got some better aerodynamics coming online, which will be useful, better safety, and better brakes. And from what we've just seen, brakes is something we really do need there. Almost at mechanical fuel injection, which would be really, really good. And we may well want to implement that sooner rather than later. Looking here, there's nothing fantastic that's coming out in years to come. I'm not sure if we can go straight to mechanical fuel injection. I will check that briefly and get back to you afterwards. First, let's take a look at the car bodies and see what we have. So we've unlocked quite a bit here. In particular, we've got some quite nice smallish vehicles. And in particular, this set here seems quite interesting for our budget line. 2.3 meter wheelbase. And it's got a range of different versions. We've got the notchback, fastback. We've got convertible soft top versions. So we've got quite a few options there. It's still small, still fitting within our sort of wheelhouse. Also the slightly larger, slightly more adventurous look. But since we're going for the cheaper end, maybe not these ones. We've also got these insane things, which I don't think are going to really fit in with what we're doing just now. We may well use these at another date. They just look really, really cool. So certainly looking into those. Coming up, the next unlock is 1965. We don't have a huge amount there. What we might need to start doing is putting in a little bit of money into R&D. We are ahead in quite a few fields, but we could probably use a little bit extra. In particular, I want to get some more bodies. We are selling on sort of the upper end of the market, so getting some bodies sooner rather than later I think is going to be really valuable. So I'm going to put that up to 100,000. Looking at what else we've got here, I don't think we really need to worry about pushing the drivetrain. A lot of this right now is automatics, which we're just going to be skipping over entirely. Could look at getting better wheels. Again, I don't really want to put more into the fields we're already ahead of, just because that's going to start to cost us a lot very quickly. Bumping that up by one costs us an extra 100,000, as opposed to 25,000 for bumping another thing up by 1 year. I think we'll put a little bit more into wheels, and then maybe just a tad more into interior, since we are selling some quite fancy cars. Even though we're a sort of a more sports category, nicer interiors might do very well. So I'm just going to check with the engines and get back to you really quickly. Okay, so I just double checked, and the carburetor is in the variant category, not family category, so we can upgrade an engine with mechanical fuel injection. I think that's going to be really, really valuable to do for the Azrios. Mechanical fuel injections gives us a lot of benefits over the carburetor. So I think I'm going to hold off on a year before redesigning that. Before then, though, I think we're going to have a go at this cheaper variant category. So before I do, I'm going to look at what markets we're currently selling into to get some ideas of where we want to target. So just reminding myself here, this is the Azrios. And so we can see here it's covering definitely the premium categories and the convertible sports categories very well. Problem is, it's not affordable to the light sports. It's not affordable at all to the light sports budget category. And convertible budget, again, really can't afford this. Equally premium, the budget category, really not there. And so I think that's what we're going to be targeting is these categories: light sports budget, convertible sports budget, premium budget. There is no family sports budget version. A family sports car is already kind of in the fancier line of things. So we're really focusing on this area for this next lot. Looking at our markets, you can see that we could get quite a bit out of light sports budget, a huge amount out of premium budget. That is largely going to be coming from Delua. So I think that is going to be incredibly valuable to do, getting this sort of more premium line, but on a budget scale. So we'll see if we can target that. It's not really something I've targeted before, premium budget. So a super fancy car, but done on the cheap. So, well, let's have a go. Incidentally, we will probably be taking out a loan to get this factory off the ground, because we're going to need a brand new factory and probably a brand new engine factory. I am going to be putting in a smaller engine here, trying to save costs when I can. So I'm going to put in a premium budget as our target there. Now, as for our design, as much as I really like these kind of more cool looking designs, they only have one seat row. That's really not what we're going to be wanting to target here. Want something with at least 2 seat rows so that we can get a little bit more sort of general utility out of it and practicality. And then it's really, for me, a choice of these two columns. So we've got the slightly smaller and the slightly bigger one. Big problem, looking at this, the slightly bigger one doesn't have a convertible version, and I really want to have that convertible option. This only has a soft top convertible, but that's better than nothing, because then we can at least double up there, go for a pure luxury one and a convertible one with maybe a light sports trim in there as well. So I think we're going to go for this one, 1960s coupe, 2.3 meter wheelbase. Now remember, this one we're going to be trying to do on the cheap. Now here, I'm not entirely sure what is going to be best. We could jump straight into the steel. That, again, isn't going to be fantastic in terms of its quality, so it's going to be cheaper, but we do need a medium factory, and so it's whether we're going to be able to produce enough of these to justify that. For now, I'm going to target this. This may be a mistake. I may have to come back and edit all of this again later, but for now we'll go for this idea. Steel, so we mass produce cheap, pretty looking cars. As for our design here, again, we really want to cheap out where we can. And so maybe here just going for ladder works quite well. We really want to cheap out where we can, and I think this is a good position. We're probably going to have enough strength behind this. Is still a relatively small car, so we should be able to get away with that. Again, just going to go for pure steel. I'm not going to worry about galvanized or anything shiny and pretty there. This can only take engine placement in front again. Now for our gearing, going to still put double wishbone in the front. We've got a lot of experience with that, but I am going to try and cheap out a little bit in the rear. Probably see how we can do with a semi-trailing arm. So that's less quality. That should still give us the comfort that we need to make the luxury market happy. We may need to cut that down. We'll have a look at how it goes. Right, so next we're on to the engine. And I think we're going to design probably a new engine here, simply due to I don't think the current engine's going to fit. And if we're using a medium factory, we're going to need a new engine factory anyway. So let's see if we just design a completely new engine. As always, skipping over the naming so we know exactly what we're building. So, big question here is what size are we going for? So we've got a lot of experience right now in our V engines, the V8 in particular. But we could also put in Inline 4, which we do have a fair bit of experience in just from overlap with the V engines. I think it's coming from the fact that we know about V8s, and so we're essentially trying to design half of a V8 here. So, could go for that. Certainly, it should make it a lot simpler. So I think we might do that. The advantage of the inline engines is they can be quite smooth as well, which will help appease those markets. So for engine size, I'm not entirely sure what we want here. Certainly nothing too expensive. At the same time, we don't want anything too rubbish here. So I might target about a 2 litre here. Actually have this about half the size of our V8. We still want some sportiness there, so let's give it a little bit of a shorter stroke size. Now here we can play around. Might see if we can get away with just using the push rods. We do have quite a lot of familiarity with just push rod design. I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. We've mostly been using direct acting overhead cam. But this should be a lot simpler, a lot more straightforward, and that's what we're going for here. Again, cheaping out cast iron. Don't need anything more than that. This is too long to fit for a 4-wheel drive. That's fine. Probably going to want to be doing a rear-wheel drive anyway. So this should work really quite well here. As always with these components, we can just leave them as cast for now, leave them the size as it is. And we want this to be relatively cheap to produce, so I think I'm going to try just a single barrel rather than more advanced ones. I don't think we need this single barrel eco. Again, the big part of this market that we're looking for is the diluent market. And diluer, as we've seen, don't care about fuel efficiency at all, so I don't think it's worth spending that. There's not a huge amount of difference in these two, although the material cost does go up. I'll see if we can get away with a single carburetor. I'll probably have to change that. Want standard performance, and we definitely want regular for this one. And we're looking for cheap for these. Going for tubular for now. May need to cut down on that. Partly this is just because of how much we've already researched compared to everything else. It's not that much more expensive, and it should give a fair bit extra performance. Since we've been cheaping out on some other things, that might just be worth it. Again, may have to come back to this. I may be over-designing. Definitely only putting in a single exhaust though. So as always, I'm going to play around with settings. It's not good to begin with. So I'll have a mess around and get back to you once this thing's starting to look a little more human. So here we go, this is what I've arrived at. So changed a few things. I've gone for short cast in the end. It was a good balance, making it quite a bit cheaper to produce without that much of a loss in performance. I've gone for baffled and baffled. This was actually a bit cheaper again than no first muffler and a reverse flow second muffler, while still giving us quite a bit of loudness reduction, which is what we want for the more luxury brand value comfort. Having a big loud engine is not comfortable. Otherwise, played around with several of these settings, increased the fuel mixture quite a bit. That really tanks your fuel efficiency, but helps you with a lot of other aspects here. So really, I could have put this higher, but it was ending up at the point that it was getting too rich, and so the power was dropping down. This is comparing this engine to the one that we've put in the Azrios. And so this engine's the lower of the set, so we can see here it's a lot weaker. It's 81 horsepower compared to 230 horsepower. But it's coming in at less than half of the material cost, less than half of the production units, i.e. the sort of build time, man hours that need to be worked on it. It's a lot quieter, a lot lighter. So all in all, I think we've got ourselves onto a bit of a winner here for the kind of engine we're looking to do. So in terms of naming this, this is our Inline 4 pushrod, and this particular variant is our 2-litre 1960 variant. So let's see how this crazy thing sounds. A lot softer in general, some weird clicking as it goes through there. And so here is our model. Again, I'll come back and design this later in detail. I will be going for this version initially and really trying to target that luxury budget category. I want a bit more space on this if I can. And we're targeting Lua here, something a little bit different, so size is going to be a little bit more important. Trying to get that so it's shaped a little bit less insanely. We're going to go rear wheel drive, and I think we're going to stick to manual for now. I might have a look at automatic later, really just because the manual version is going to be cheaper to put in. It's not as drivable, but it is a lot more sporty, and we're still trying to go for the overall sporty aesthetic there. Still go for 4 gears, no differential. We're not going to take this off the road, and probably go for radial, but probably cheaper tires here. So medium compound might be the better option. It is the most comfortable version, while still being relatively cheap. So we'll see how we do with those. Let's see, we may need to put in smaller tires, but for now I'll leave them quite thick, just to try and bring down that cost there. I'm going to leave it with no under tray. Again, cost saving more than anything. Now, this is where things get a bit tricky. I'm going to put in 4 seats. That's a good balance of practicality and comfort. You've not got the seats quite so tightly pushed together. I'm not sure what is going to be best here. We want fancy, but at the same time we want cheap. Now I'll stick it on standard and premium AM radio, but I'm probably going to play with these quite a bit going forward. Try and get us in the right position. We could put in hydraulic safety, power steering. Problem is, again, is pushing up the price a bit, does increase drivability and comfort. Might be worth it, I'm not sure. Okay, so initial numbers, not looking fantastic. This is too expensive and not comfortable. So I will play around with all of this again, and as normal, get back to you. So I think I'm going to put a pin in the design of this new budget car for now. The issue that I was really running into is it's just too cramped. The cabin size on the car we're looking at is just too small. It's 800 litres with 2 seat rows. So no matter what I was doing, it was too cramped, too uncomfortable, and the budget market for the luxury just weren't interested. So I looked at some of the other cars we have, but to get something that really work, we have to start going back quite a long time. I don't really want to design a new car that's using very, very old tech, and I couldn't find anything that was really fantastic. But looking at 1965, we do have some nice new cars coming in that I think will fit the bill really well. Got a whole series here of larger cars or mid-sized cars, which are sedans, which is what the luxury market is really looking for, with soft-top convertible options, which is what the convertible options are looking for. I think we're going to be able to get much better scores looking at some of those, so I think I'm going to wait till this set are unlocked. The work that we've done so far isn't lost, it's just happily sitting there as Model 1. So for now I will leave that as it is, and we'll come back once that Model 1 is a bit more viable. For now I did want to ask you all a question as to the naming of these. I kind of want to keep the Discord member names as being the main sports car line. Don't really want to use them as the sort of cheaper, rubbishy lines. So if you've got any ideas for names of the cars for this lighter, cheaper line, leave them down below in the comments. Or if you would like your name as one of these and you don't want to join the Discord, then by all means put your name down below in the comments section, and I will certainly just start adding those. It's no problem at all. So for now, what I was going to do just to end this particular episode is just let time creep forward for a month or two, just so we can see how this car sells. In fact, since we're doing the next facelift, once we unlock the fuel technology, the mechanical fuel injection, I'm just going to let speed tick across for a full year. Then we'll see how this sells, and we can wrap up the episode. So in all, this car has been selling pretty well. It's having some issues right now. It's not as popular as it could be. We certainly do need to do a facelift, and we will do this on the start of the next episode. We'll get this car the facelift that it needs, because it is struggling a little bit now. Not sure exactly why it's suddenly struggling a lot. It was selling really well initially. You can see it's dipped down quite significantly. I think a competitor probably unveiled a car. We are still competitive, although on the pricey end of things. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. So next time we're going to design the facelift of the Azrios. We may well come back to this Model 1 and see if we can get that fully designed and polished. But more on that next time. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, as always, like, subscribe. That really helps the channel. Leave any comments if you have any. And if you want your name or have any suggestions for names of this new line that we're putting out, do leave those below as well. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and remember to have fun. Cheers!